Wizzy Wizards, and welcome back to the Pursuit of Happiness with me, Pigtail Gurl, your friend and fellow wizard. So I wanted to jump on here quickly and do a little update about what's going on, because I know stuff's been going on with Iran and everyone's clutching at straws about, how they feel about it, what's going on, and what's the true reason behind it all. Now, I don't think I did a report on Starfire Tours. It was about a few weeks ago. She did a report. I can't remember if I uploaded it. I meant to upload it, but just full disclosure, my husband just got his visa confirmed. And for the last few weeks, me and my little girl have just been really focused on my husband returning after months and months and months of being separated from him and just sort of enjoying some family time again. So I've been a bit slacking, sorry, on making some videos that I meant to make. But excuse me, some weeks ago, maybe about a month, there was a big timeline reboot. And Starfire Tour, in one of her reports, if you follow us on the Telegram group or on Facebook, she's Bryn Morgan, Bryn Morgan. You can find her on Facebook. The timeline reboot had been caused by something quite bad and new in the timeline, causing these time looping cataclysms that keep us stuck in this perpetual state of we're on the brink of our own annihilation type of scenario. So this last timeline reboot that I'm talking about, due to Starfire Tour's ability to scan timelines with her own special set of unique psychic abilities, she was able to see, and she said that what had happened was certain groups on the planet that seemed to be Iran, China. She didn't put that in the report, but that's who it seems to have been relating to, had somehow triggered a world-ending event using nuclear weapons. And what happened was, obviously they're in allegiance with the Volshadei, whether they know it or not, or they're being guided by the negative reptilians. That's who the Volshadei are. So, and what they've caused is they were for some reason sending nukes to the moon. And what they managed to do was, I don't know, before, I think, was it China before? Was it France was trying to bomb the moon a long time ago? I don't know if you remember that, to see if there was water there. They come up with these stupid things, but I don't know why they want to bomb the moon. But in the past, if you remember, that was something that was happening. Now, we know that the Chinese have been taking an interest in the moon recently. And just to reiterate that the good guys have bases on the moon, not the reptilians, not the bad guys. The good guys use the moon as a base to keep an eye out on the Earth and to try to keep a check on the infestation of this Volshadei race that we have here that messes everything up. The people that control the Earth minions, Elohim, Anunnaki, this is all linked to the Volshadei. And where we get most of our Abrahamic religions from is through them. And we have more ancient religions linking to them when they used to have their many names, and then those religions got tightened up and retuned, and then it became just the one God. So that all got to the Canaanites, to the Mesopotamians, to the Egyptians. All their religions are coming from that group. So moving on. So they were trying to bomb the moon because we're at a war. I've been trying to tell you this. We're in a war. We're not in our ascension into the fifth dimension. We're actually just in an ongoing thousands of year old war still. And that's what's actually going on planet Earth. And I think if you look around, you can see that we're a planet at war. We're not a planet at peace, ascending anywhere right now. So they've been bombing the moon with nukes. And what they managed to do was cause the moon to fall out of its orbit and end up heading towards Earth and destroying the planet, to the point where our planet was a new asteroid belt. So this was being caused with the help of Iran and China and nuclear weapons. So that timeline reboot report was out on Telegram and Facebook. You can go back and look at those. If you go to Bryn Morgan on Facebook, I'll put the links in the description box, but you can actually go and read those whole reports. They're all out there, with the Schumann resonance charts and how we read the timeline reboots. Now, if you're not aware of what a timeline reboot is, it's when our timeline is going towards a point where life won't be sustained anymore on this planet, the core matrix, as Starfire Tour calls it, that's in control of the timelines that we experience here, that's streaming time for us so we can pass through it and experience it in a linear fashion. Um, but it's streaming these timelines, and when something bad happens, it will reboot us. It will cut, like a copy paste, it will cut out that terrible world ending event if it can, and then it will rewind us back to before it and edit in a new timeline that will lead us away from that event occurring. And that's what causes what people call the Mandela effects to occur. It's because we're being given, imagine like you could stream all these different, same, like slightly different versions of a movie, and you like, well, I don't like the ending of this movie, so you go to this other movie and you cut out bits, you put it in, but there's the consistency slightly out because, you know, someone says something slightly different, or a character suddenly disappeared because all the different movies were slightly different versions. So that's why you get those glitches in the timeline that people are like, oh, this has changed. And when you think about it, it's the only thing that makes sense. You know, there's not a global wizard who waves a magic wand and suddenly changes every single line in some old movie and your old 80s VHS tape instantaneously. That's I've never met a earth magician that has that kind of power, but the core matrix can do that. It copy pastes information in and out of the timeline. So that timeline reboot was quite significant because this was a new thing that had suddenly appeared that was taking us towards not just a little bit of something, you know, a bit annoying, to like all out planetary destruction, to the point where the Earth was now an asteroid belt, making the moon and the planet collide. That's what we were on the brink of. So now that brings me up to date. And now you suddenly see Donald Trump with Israel attacking Iran. And now this really, it doesn't matter how you feel about Israel, Donald Trump, Iran. I'm just telling you what the timeline is saying through Starfire Tour, is that the forces of good have been need to stop this timeline reboot occurring. Sorry, time looping cataclysm with the moon now. But of course, they need humans to also help them get rid of the threat. They're not willing to do all the work for us, you know, and this isn't even really their planet. The Alarians and the Star Ancestors, they have their own worlds that they can go to. They're trying to help us, but, you know, we have to help them. So when you suddenly see Donald Trump is now taking out the nuclear areas in Iran, this is actually a good thing, right? And when I first started to see it, obviously I don't like war. Who likes war? No one likes war. But a little voice in my head said, don't make any judgments on this yet, Pigtail Girl. It's not as it seems. Not everything is as it seems. What you're seeing is not as it seems. And of course, I've seen all the emotional responses from everyone. But so a little voice was just actually saying to me, my wise voice, I said, don't have an emotional response to this yet. It's not as it seems. There's something more to this story. And then, of course, Starfire's new report popped up today, talking about how this was a good thing that's happening, and it's helping us to avoid that moon event where nukes are fired at the moon. And China and Iran are very close right now. They've been creating a train connection between the two of them. So it's not even really got anything to do with Israel or so much the political things that people think it does. There's actually a much bigger picture here, and why Donald Trump keeps on getting edited back into the White House. I mean, just look at the guy's luck. You know, when you look at someone and go, oh my God, that guy's so lucky. He just got out of all this stuff. And to a lot of people, it looks a bit sinister. Or some people, they just think he's just like blessed by God. But it is in a ways that the timeline likes what he does. That's why it keeps editing him in. It's because he was willing to do the things that needed to happen. So this thing that's going on with Iran is about ending these time looping catastrophes. Now, whether Donald Trump knows about time looping catastrophes or not, like he probably doesn't, but he is being guided to do what needed to be done to solve this issue. And the angels, the Alarians, and the star ancestors are very happy about this. And, they are also involved in this battle right now of bringing this moon earth cataclysm to an end, because it's just like another thing that they have to deal with on top of all the other stuff they need to deal with right now, which is basically trying to get rid of the Vol Shadeh. Now, if you would like to read any of these reports and see exactly what I'm talking about, you can join the Telegram group. I'll put the link in the description box. And also go to Bryn Morgan's Facebook page, where you can see all her reports. And there you can scroll through her timeline and go and look at all the reports as they come out in chronological order as well, because it's very interesting. And just like what I'm trying to say to you is, it's not all as it seems. There's other levels of other battles, and it's not 5D chess. I don't believe in all this QAnon stuff, but there is levels, and if you don't believe in Ilarians and ETs and an ongoing ET battle, then all this will seem like gibberish to you, and all you will see is, this lot versus that lot, and you'll be looking for someone to cheer for or not cheer for at the end of the day. But yeah, I was definitely told to hold back on my emotional responses to this one, because there's just so much going on. There's been so many timeline reboots that it's not just a case of, oh, we all want peace. There's things on this planet that are not trying to have peace right now. And you can sit there and think, oh, well, Donald Trump said he wasn't going to do anything. Now he's going back in his word. If someone is there threatening your family, or like a bear is attacking you, you can sit there and say, oh, well, I said I was going to be peaceful. Or you can take care of business because the bear is going to, attack your family. There's, sometimes it's the only answer is you have to play defense and attack with certain situations. And particularly right now, because of the Vol Shadehs at a war with us, they will use their human minions in that war. They're quite happy to start it off using whatever humans are, what's the word, available yeah, available to their influence. So that's where we're at, my lovelies. And there's been a lot of timeline reboots. Again, Schumann's resonance chart, when you see the black lines on there with no data, that's a timeline reboot. You can go and look it up. And when you see the big white packets coming down, that's not 5-dimensional energies being anchored in. That's not your ascension. That is the timeline edits coming in. The big white, that's the packet downloads of the new information being edited into the timeline. And when you see the green bars that looks like a capacitor, that's actually, it's the core matrix storing up the earth energy that it needs to enact the timeline reboots and the time shifts, okay, and timeline edits. So I hope this brings some clarity to you, my lovelies, about what's going on. And I will love you and leave you, and see you on the next episode of The Pursuit of Happiness. One love.